Welcome to the Michael Singer Podcast, presented by Sounds True, in partnership with Shanti Publications. For more information about Michael Singer's work, access to all prior episodes, and information about upcoming releases, we invite you to join us at michaelsingerpodcast.com.
Jai Masters. People have this tendency to think that your spiritual path, your commitment to your spiritual growth, your sadhana, call it whatever you want, is somehow different from your daily life, from your work life, from your family life, from community life, whatever. And that's hilarious. It's simply not true. If you feel guilty because you're not doing anything about God, you go to church on Sunday or synagogue and do Friday night, Saturdays, and fast when you're supposed to, and you think that that is your spiritual obligation, you're missing the entire point of the whole thing. What is going on is you're born onto the planet Earth. That's a fact. And you're going to leave. That's a fact. And there's time in between. And every single moment of that time is sacred. That's the truth. If people are out there trying to find what they want to do, trying to find passion, trying to find love, they've missed the whole thing. Every moment between your birth and your death is holy. The reason you took birth is to grow, not to go to church, not to go to synagogue, not to go to mosque. These are wonderful things to do. I'm not saying not to do them. There's something you do, all right? But, they use 0.02% of your time. The purpose you took birth was to grow spiritually every single moment. No matter what's happening, no matter whatever unfolds in your life, it is for the purpose of your growth. And people don't get that. They think, if I'm feeling good, and I feel close to God, and the energy's flowing, and I feel passionate about my work, and I love my family, I've done my job. No, you have not done your job. Why? Because if your family leaves, or somebody dies, or you get fired, you're not doing well. And those are the times that you grow spiritually. You don't grow spiritually when you're already spiritual. You don't grow spiritually when, you do a drug, or you do this, or you do that, or you do a 3-week meditation, which I'm not talking against any of these things, okay? Don't get me wrong. I'm talking for something bigger. So basically, you can have spiritual experiences. That is not spirituality. Spirituality is, why are you not there all the time, no matter what's happening, no matter what befalls you, no matter what takes place? Why are you not seated in the divine state? That's spirituality, the gap between where you are and your true state, the state of your being, because that is your natural state. You're a self-realized being. You're seated in the highest state that could possibly exist. That's not the problem. You don't need to figure out how to get there. You need to figure out how not to leave. I've taught you that. That's the greatest thing that I've learned in my teachings, right? It's not use it to go to God. It's use it to not leave God. Right now, you are seated in the highest state that Christ, Buddha, or anybody else has achieved. Do you understand that? It's not a matter you have to evolve spiritually to be able to get to God. You are seated in that state right now. Why don't I feel that? Because you're focusing on something other than that. If I'm sitting here and I see you guys, but I'm looking out the window, I don't see you guys. I am where my consciousness is. Fair enough? Like something you have never experienced, you know nothing about. It could be the most beautiful thing that ever was, but if you never have any consciousness of it, not somebody told you about it, you saw a movie, you don't even know it exists, do you? That's how you're dealing with God. Your consciousness is focused on what? Your thoughts, your emotions, your body, and your outside world. How often is it focused on your thoughts, your emotions, your body, and what comes into your senses? Oh, let's see, 99.999999% of the time. The 0.001, you go to church. And you're probably thinking about what you look like and what did you wear. And oh my God, I sneezed. Be honest. Is that not true? That your consciousness, your awareness of being is aware of your thoughts. I don't care whether good thoughts or bad thoughts, X-rated or PG-rated. They're thoughts, and you're aware of them. And you're aware of your emotions. I don't care if it's love. I don't care if it's disdain. They are emotions, and you're aware of them. And when you're asleep, you're aware of your dreams. When you're awake, you're aware of what's coming in through your senses. In other words, your awareness, your consciousness is addicted to you. That's all it thinks about, all the time. Well, then how are you supposed to know you, real you who's seated with God, when you're looking away from that and you're looking down at that? That is a fall from the garden. Don't make it complicated. You can exist, great masters exist in a state of merger, exists in a state of my Father and I are one, and at the same time take in what's coming through the senses and interact with this world. It's not a matter of choose one or the other. They're happening simultaneously, and that is what it means to be in the garden. You're in a state of bliss, in a state of infinite well-being spread throughout the universe, and you're having fun experiencing the planet Earth or wherever you happen to be. God's creation. It's God experiencing God's creation. I hope someday you understand that. You know who you are? God's ambassador, so that he can visit the creation he created out of himself. The moment you're experiencing, I say this to you guys, and I don't think anybody gets it because I don't see you all fainting. The moment in front of you, even right now, do you understand that every single person sees a different moment in front of them? You're all sitting in different places, you're looking at different angles, lights falling different ways, okay? Not to mention, once you all go, you'll go your own way, and nobody in this room will be seeing the same thing you see an hour from now or even right now. So every single moment of your life, you're getting a private showing of creation. No one else is seeing it. No one has ever seen it, and no one will ever see it. That's what I said. You're not feigning. And you know what you say? Nobody ever gives me anything. Holy... Why am I not special? I think that's just, I'm going to repeat what I just said to you. The moments you experience, every moment of your life, no one has ever experienced, no one is experiencing it, and no one ever will experience it. If you close your eyes and miss it, it got missed. It had no meaning. It might as well not have happened. Am I right or wrong? So basically, you're a very important being. You have been sent down as God descended to experience that moment of creation. Why did creation get created? Why does an artist paint something? Why did Beethoven make music? To express himself, to express themselves. What artist wants to spend time painting a masterpiece and not step back and look at it? They're expressing their soul. A musician goes into ecstasy playing their music. There's merge with it. So God, the infinite, omniscient, omnipresent being that is unmanifest, manifested. Why? Don't ask me that. If you want to ask an avatar, ask an enlightened being like Meher Baba. They actually asked Meher Baba that. You're not going to like his answer. I'm serious. And Meher Baba was merged all the time, as high as they get. They said, Baba, why did God create creation? Ready? On a whim. And say you're watching an ecstatic dancer, a Sufi dancer or something, dancing, just dancing, every move. And you take a picture and you come up to her or him and you ask, why did you move your hand that way? On a whim. There is no reason, is there? It's the expression of the moment. That's what on a whim means. So it's very deep, that answer. It's the same reason a musician just writes music. It's just the expression of their being. How's that? Right? There was no logic behind it. There was no reason for it. It has no purpose. It doesn't have a result that I want or anything like that. There's no I involved at all, is there? There's just Tao. It's just happening. It's happening. Okay? So that was very deep if you contemplate on it. Why would that which is omnipresent, Meher Baba, the same being, they once asked Baba when he's sitting there, Baba's high. These guys get high. Let's get this straight, all right? They felt his energy and they saw who he was and they saw what happened around him. And once a disciple asked him, Baba, who are you? You know what he said? I was in the beginning before all else was created, and I will be in the end after all else falls away. There was never a time I was not, and there will never be a time I will not be. I am that I am. That's the closest as God talking to you as the conversation can go. It was always there. What was before that? It was always there. I told you, I have fun. I'm not a quantum physicist, believe me, okay? But I read articles and I try to understand them. But most of what I understand is what have they found? Like, used to be they found, okay, it's made out of molecules. No, it's made out of atoms. No, it's made of electrons, neutrons, and protons. Well, they went deeper than that. I have even lectures on. I'm not going to do it this time. But I do want anyone who's coming here studying with me should understand what the quantum physicists have found. Okay, not their math, not their complicated, go believe me, all right? Quantum mechanics, all that stuff. What did they find? They found that the electron, neutron, and protons are not the elemental particles. They're not the beginning, the lowest thing that we can find. They crashed them together. They crashed protons together, and they broke up, at least for a millisecond, right? And they saw they were made of something else. And so they got down to what were called the quantum level. And I could call them quantum particles, but what I like is they found that they're not particles. There are no particles. You understand? An electron is not a particle spinning around a nucleus. It is a field. There's a field called the quantum field. We'll talk about it in a second, why I went off on that. Quantum field. And if that field gets agitated or activated, it makes wavelets. The same as if you drop a leaf in a still lake. It makes wavelets. Those wavelets in that field have properties such as electromagnetism. Just happen to turn that way. And if something else, a wave interacts with that, all right, they combine together to make a proton. There's no proton. There's just wavelets, but they act as though they were a particle, right? If you got that, I did my job, okay? So what is that telling you? I read a couple of things at various times where somebody asked the quantum physicist, what is the quantum field made of? To which he said, we have no idea. That's very deep. We have no idea. All we know is that when there is a wavelet, we can build the universe. They can literally build the universe, the entire universe. Like if you ask, where is the quantum field? They will tell you it is omnipresent. They use that word. It is omnipresent. All stars, all galaxies, all black holes, dark energy, light energy, every single thing emanates from the quantum field. And then I saw somebody ask, but what was there before the Big Bang? Before the vibration. Okay, the Om, the vibration that caused the wavelets. And there's a physicist. What was there before? And they said, there was no before. It is eternal. It has always been. Meher Baba said that. It has always been, and it will always be. Time comes out of that, not it's in time. It's like, it's not hard to understand this stuff. Distance comes out of that. What do you mean? What does distance mean to you? Something between 2 points. I don't care if the points are on the other side of the universe or the points are a macrometer away from each other. It's the distance between 2 points. What if there are no 2 points? What if there is non-dual, no differentiation? Where's distance? There's not. That's what infinite means. What is time? The gap between two events. What if there is no two events? What if there is no one event? What if there's non-duality? There's no time. See, it's not that hard to get some comprehension of what we're talking about. So It always was. What? The non-dual, the infinite, the absolute. So that's what's there. In the Hindu tradition, that's Brahma. Like my Yoga Shakti, the one who gave us the Durga statue. I don't study these religions, right? But she's Hindu, right? It was a great saint. And she said, you will find no temples to Brahma in India because Brahma is unmanifest. He is the unmanifest. Before creation is Brahma. Okay? So there is before creation. Why did creation take place? Because that field that always was is a field of what? Consciousness. That's what it is. That's why it's omniscient, omnipresent, and omniscient, because it is aware of itself being itself. It's not aware of anything else. It's just aware of its being. And pretty neat in it. And that the quantum physicists cannot answer, what is the field made of? You can. Your yogis and yoginis, thousands and thousands of years ago, they spoke of the unmanifest. And they spoke of the vibration, the primal vibration that caused manifestation out of the unmanifest. And they will tell you that it's still unmanifest. It didn't give up being unmanifest. The lake didn't stop being a lake because there was a ripple. It's still there. So that basically, when Meher Baba says, on a whim, it just means this. That's the word God. Use it for whatever you want. That's because the human mind has to bring it down to the human level. In one of the commandments, thou shalt have no idol or form or image before me. Well, we have lots of them, don't we? Okay, even in the Jewish tradition, there's the mezuzah that hangs on the door. There's the Torah. We have images all over. Why? Because our consciousness is addicted to our humanness, isn't it? What is consciousness? I just told you. Your consciousness, your awareness of being is that field that always was and will always be and is omnipresent. There's no difference. The ripple in the lake is the lake. The ripple will fall back into the lake, won't it? Yogananda wrote a song once, I am the bubble, make me the sea. Aren't the little bubbles that pop up in the sea? They're the sea. They pop, they're the sea. Okay, isn't that beautiful? So basically, that's who you are right now. That's who you are. If you're conscious and you see me and you hear me and you see your thoughts, that's what's seeing them. That's the deep teachings. That's the essence of truth, okay? And when Christ said, my Father and I are one, he also said, as I sit at the throne of my Father, that's not a seat. Don't go make a painting with a seat, a golden seat. A throne is a state of consciousness. It's your seat of consciousness. As I sit at the throne of my Father, so you shall sit by my throne. What's that saying? You're the same as me. You're sitting in the same state. There's a part, I never know what I'm going to talk about, so I don't bring it. There's a part in John. I'm not a Bible reader. I read the Bible once in 1971. But basically, I remember those words because I'm a yogi. There's a place in John where Christ prays. I think Last Supper, whatever. And he prays. He says, may they know the oneness in thee as I know the oneness. May all know the oneness in the... And just the word oneness is used like 15 times in the paragraph. And the other one that I really like, I like Christ a lot. Nice Jewish boy. I love Christ. Christ's teachings are yoga. They're the essence. At the Last Supper, he kept saying, I'm leaving. They said, we want to go with you. His disciples, I want to go with him. What did he say? Where I go, you cannot follow. Ooh, I wonder what he meant. Where I go, you cannot follow. Yes. He ain't ready yet. That's beautiful. What did God on Mount Sinai, when Moses went back up and he said to God, I want to see you. He talked to God. God talked to him. He said, I want to see you. You don't remember what was said in the Old Testament. He said, you can't see me. If you see me, you won't be alive. You can't both be a human and see me. He said, hide in a crevice in the rock. As I walk by, you'll see my shadow. That's the best that you can see is my shadow, spirit. The best you can see is my shadow while you're still in this human form. Now, it turns out that's nice. Maybe that's true for Moses. Wasn't true for Jesus. Wasn't true for Buddha. Wasn't true for the great masters. They were able to maintain both states. Take a breath. Someone once asked Yogananda. Yogananda came from India in 1920 with a turban on his head. He hardly spoke English, and he was Indian, okay? And he came over here on a ship, and he said the first time he ever gave a talk was on the ship when a person was traveling with it. He was coming over because he'd been invited to the World Religious Conference in Boston. He got picked as the one to represent Hinduism to go over there. He was enlightened, and he had never given a lecture in English in his life. And so on the boat over, they asked him to give some talks, so he practiced a little bit. In any event, he came over, and you all know the story, but it did not take long. When he was teaching at Carnegie Hall, there's pictures of him in Carnegie Hall. The whole place, they were around the block 5 to 6 times to try to go in to hear him in New York. And they show there's a picture of him on the stage. He's like this tall. He wasn't very tall anyways, but about this tall. And then there's all thousands and thousands and thousands of people in the audience. So somebody once asked him, they said, Yoganandaji, you must feel such pride that you came over here with nothing, and just look what you've done. What do you feel when you're standing up there? And he always took the attitude that God, what a great being. If you ask me a question and you're sincere, I will answer you. Because you don't know what I know, and you have the right to. So they asked him, what do you feel? Ready? He said, no, I don't feel any pride or anything. So when I stand up there and I'm giving the talk, the same time the lecture is taking place, my consciousness is on a higher plane with my guru, who's deceased, Yukteswar, working with him, teaching these higher beings. And at the same time, simultaneously, my consciousness is merging with the universe at the speed of light in all directions. Every galaxy is my being. They're all happening simultaneously. Oh, okay. So you can merge and be here. All right? Mayor Baba, I shouldn't tell you these things, you'll get scared. Mayor Baba was so high, so far gone, that a disciple had to stand outside his bedroom and periodically look in to make sure he was still wiggling his big toe so he would be in the body in the morning. That's how tenuous the tie was. Oh, man, these are high beings. But in any event, what we're sitting there saying is the quantum field, we know what it's made of. Why? Because that's what yogis did instead of studying from outside. They went into the mountains and the caves thousands of years ago and tried to find out, who am I? Who's back here watching the thoughts? Who's back here looking through the eyes? What is consciousness? And they let go and let go and let go and let go and pop, merged. And that's what yoga means, union, merger. You're in that state right now. You're just looking out. You're looking down away from yourself at objects of consciousness. A thought is an object of consciousness, is it not? Do they come and go? Clouds come and go, thoughts come and go. Do emotions come and go? Everything comes and goes. You're aware of it because you're conscious, and it passed before your consciousness. So that's what we're discussing. You are back there. All you have to do is stop looking away from yourself, and you will realize who you are. You will realize that's how close you are to enlightenment right now. So what we're saying, what I started saying to you is, for your purpose of life and meaning of life, is it is that consciousness that created all of creation that wants to experience its creation. Why? It's a game. It's a lila. In India, they call it God's lila, God's sport, God's dance. He doesn't need to do it. He did it on a whim. He's expressing and experiencing. So he wants to come into his creation, duality and non-duality at the same time, wants to come into his creation and experience it. Well, how do I do that? By putting a ray of my consciousness down at this spot, and a ray at that spot, and a ray at that spot, and a ray at that spot. You can be conscious of multiple things at the same time, can't you? Feel both your hands at the same time. Now feel your feet. See? Consciousness can have multiple objects. So that consciousness focuses down on your thoughts, your emotions, looking through your eyes, and yours, and yours, and yours, and yours, and yours. It is the exact same consciousness. But what it's looking at is very different. And that's the purpose of creation. Is for God to experience God's creation. Okay? And you are having a moment. That's why I got off on this. Your moment, every moment, that's your job. Be here now. Is to experience, permit the divine that created to experience his creation. Because if you close your eyes and you don't, well, you can close your eyes, you can experience something else. That's okay, don't worry. But if you don't experience it, no one experiences it. It did not get experienced. Wow, you got quite a job. You're God's ambassador for the moment here. Okay, fine. So you have your birth and you have your death. And in between, you're the ambassador. You're here to experience God's creation. Like, this planet is kind of a special place. We haven't seen any sign of life anywhere, anything at all. And you're on this tiny little planet, a tiny piece of dirt spinning around in the middle of nowhere. I told you, 1.3 million Earths fit inside the sun. 1.3 million is a pretty big number, isn't it? That's how many Earths fit inside one star. And there are 300 billion stars in your galaxy. And there's 2 trillion galaxies that we know of. And look at your planet. There's nothing going on Mars. There's nothing going on Jupiter. Nothing going on Saturn or Pluto or the galaxy far, far away. As far as we can tell, what's going on here? There's not a single moment of your life that's not something going on. In fact, there's so many things going on, you're missing everything. So you won the lottery 7 billion times over. You landed on the most amazing planet. You're born, you're going to die, and in between, your consciousness is going to experience life on the planet Earth. So what is going on? What is the purpose? What is the meaning of this time between your birth and your death? The meaning is, I told you, I went from one end to the other. If it's true, and it is, that you are the divine infinite consciousness that created all of creation, and you are, not you sitting here, but you who's looking at what's sitting here. Not you, oh, I'm God. No, that one's not God, believe me. It's not what you're looking at. It's who's looking. And that's who you are. And yet you got lost. You fell from the garden. You fell from the garden. In the garden, Adam and Eve were in that state. They were enlightened. They're God. They're one. Man was created in the image of God. There he is, walking around, experiencing everything. But then they looked a little too close. They got all involved in what they were looking at. That's what it's about, eating the apple. That's what it's about, tree of self-knowledge. You weren't supposed to eat of that one. You enjoy everything, but don't be looking too close. So you identify with what you're looking at instead of identifying with who you are that's looking. There, I never slow down. I slowed down just for you. You are the one who's looking. If I look at my hand, am I my hand? Well, I see my hand. Who does? Me. Does that make me the hand? No. I'm still the one who sees the hand. And that goes for your thoughts. Are you your thoughts? I don't know if you're your thoughts. You must have died 7 billion times because they come and go. Are you your emotions? Ever had a bad emotion? Well, I guess you're that. Well, no, maybe you worked it through. It went through. Okay, you are the one who experiences your thoughts, experiences your emotions, experiences what it's like to have a body, and experiences what comes in through your senses. That's who you are, and that's one being. It's the same being. It's the same you who's looking out through your eyes, who's watching your thoughts, who's feeling your emotions simultaneously. So that's who you are. But then you come down here on this planet, and you behave as though you're a human being. You forgot who you are. So in the garden, you know who you are. You're still interacting with life. When you fall, you fell because you stared at yourself too much so that you didn't experience your wholeness. You experienced your tininess of what you were looking at. You identified with the object you're looking at instead of identified with the subject who's looking. So you wake up and you realize who you are. And you realize, I'm not being who I am. I'm being what I'm looking at. That's enough truth. I am not what I'm looking at. Am I? Hold your hand up periodically and look at it. Am I the hand? Am I the drum? Am I the beam? Am I that person? You're looking at them? No, I'm not anything I look at. Well, then who am I? The one who's looking. Is that so hard? Is that so mystical? Do you need a degree in psychology? If you want to analyze what you're looking at, you might need one of those. But to know who you are? No. Do I need to go to India, climb the Himalayas and meet a master? Unfortunately, you might, but no, you shouldn't. No, you're already there. People come to me and say, I'm going to India. Why? I want to find myself. Have you looked under the bed? You're going to find yourself. You are the self. You're watching the thought saying, I need to go to India to find myself. Who's watching that thought? Well, it's better than the thought that says, I want to go and kill somebody or rob somebody. Yes, it's better. There's some thoughts are better than others. Tamasic, Rajasic, Sattvic, you've heard those terms, right? Yes, but they're all qualities of what you're looking at. The self is transcendent to all of that. It's the one who's looking. Oh my God. Light can shine on something dirty. It can shine on something young and something old and something clean. It's the same light. Light is transcendent to what it's shining on. Big word, transcendent. Now you understand. Is light transcendent to what it's shining on? If what it's shining on is falling apart, and I move it to something else, and move it to something else. The consciousness is transcendent to what it's conscious of. See, if we did a retreat, I would have you say that for 3 days straight. Consciousness is transcendent to what it's conscious of. You live it every day of your life, having things come and gone, and you're still there. The truth is right in front of you all the time. You who's aware of your thoughts, your emotions, your body, and the world in front of you is the light of consciousness. That's why they call it the light of consciousness, because it's shining on the object. It is not the object. The meaning of your life already now, between your birth and your death, is to bridge the gap between who you are and who you think you are. Notice the word think. What is your ego? Who you think you are. What does psychology say your ego is? Your self-concept. You've heard that term, haven't you? What is a concept? Something you make up. It's a thing of mind. My concept is something I'm thinking about, how I think of something. So your self-concept is how your mind thinks about you. That's what your ego is. You're in there and you're identified with your thoughts. Who are you? I'm so-and-so's wife. I'm so-and-so's husband. I'm so-and-so's mother. I'm so-and-so's father. I'm the person who played Dorothy in the 5th grade. I'm the attractive person that people are always attracted to. You're not any of those things. Those are experiences you had. You had an experience. You got married. If you didn't get married, you don't exist. You think if you got divorced, you don't exist, but it feels like it for a while. But those are feelings. You are not what you experienced. You're the one who experienced it. You know that. The trouble is you're so addicted to these feelings and to these thoughts that you're really addicted to them, just like a drug addict is addicted to the drug. You're okay if things are the way you want them to be, if the mind is the way you want it to be, and you're not okay if it's not the way you want it to be. And so you devote your life to something very amazingly silly, which is, I'm going to go out there and manipulate the world that has, in this planet, has existed for 4.5 billion years, and I'm here for 80 or 90, and I'm going to manipulate everything in life, every moment that passes before me, so it matches what I decided I want in my mind. And so it doesn't ever match what I don't want in my mind. Why are you sitting so close to him? I thought you liked me. Who were you talking to? You said you wouldn't talk to her anymore. We're not manipulative at all, are we? Anyone having control issues? That's all you have. Who? God. What did you do to God? Oh my God, poor guy. You came down here, you identified with your personal self, who's not even a dot in the universe, but I'm the center. Are you the center of your universe? You're no way the center of the universe. Well, they used to think Earth was the center of the solar system. They were wrong. Well, you're wrong too. There's just this tiny little thing made of atoms that's hanging out on this tiny little planet. Okay, 1.3 million Earths inside the sun. How much of the Earth do you take up? Nothing. And that's what you've done with your life. God descended, and boy, are we going to make a mess. Why? Because you identified with what you're looking at instead of identify with who's looking. So what does it mean to grow spiritually? Stop identifying with what you're looking at, and you will naturally, you don't even try. If I don't identify with what here, I'm staring at that picture. I'm just addicted to staring at that picture. Okay, there it goes, staring at it. What will happen if I don't stare at it? How will I get back to me? No. If you don't stare at it, you're not leaving you. You will be back to you. So there is no path to go back to God. Stop leaving. But what technique do I need? And then again, I know I make it simple. The trouble is, it's not that easy. Like, okay, stop doing heroin and you'll do better in life. You'll do better. You'll feel better. Your family won't leave you. You won't be sick all the time. I'm serious. You know that. Okay, you're right. I'll stop. Good luck. There's a path to stopping. There shouldn't be, because obviously the life is much more beautiful without the stuff. But you get addicted. That's what addiction is. You are addicted to yourself. The reason people do drugs is that they can't handle their addiction to themselves. And they get addicted to something to make them feel better. Why else would somebody ruin themselves? Because they can't handle themselves. Why can't you handle yourself? You're God. Because I'm busy staring away from God. And what I'm staring at is not so nice. What I'm staring at, I told you what I'm staring at. I'm staring at me. My thoughts, my emotions, my body, and what comes in through my senses. That's my world. And so you realize you're staring at something so small, but you're very big. You don't fit inside that bottle. It's like a prison. There's no way you will ever be okay constricting the infinite consciousness and greatness that you are to squeeze that thing into this little, tiny little world. It's like, give me some room. Get me out of here. It's not so comfortable in there, is it? So what do? Instead of getting out or even trying to get out, you think the answer is to get in. You see that your mind is not happy. The mind is not comfortable with the way things are. The mind is not comfortable with a lot of things the way they were. I'll tell you that for sure. Your mind had all kinds of experiences it didn't like, and it held on to them, and it still doesn't like them. You locked yourself in this tiny little cage of yourself. And so how do you try to be okay? By getting out? We got out of this place. There was a song in the 60s. We got to get out of this place if it's the last thing we ever do. Yes, that's right. Come talk to me. That's why I moved out here. Right? Okay? It's like I was living there. No way I've spent my life living in that little box. There's no chance in the world. But what humankind does is they don't know anything about any of this. And so they get down into it and they say, to be okay, do what your mind wants. Make it be what your mind wants, and you'll be happier. And you will. If you get what you want, I'm telling you right now, you're happier, aren't you? And if you don't get what you want, you're sad. And if you get what you don't want, you're suffering. Wow. Okay. I better listen to what I want. I better listen to my mind and go out there and make it be like that. Do you hear me? I'm being strong with you. Is that not what you're doing? Don't you say that to me. You talk to me. I will never talk to you again for the rest of your life. All right? What does that mean? I didn't like what you said. Can we put what he said in context to the size of the universe? There are 8.5 billion people on the planet Earth right now. They're all saying something, but I can't handle what you said. I do want to take a moment. I always wanted to talk about this, right? Do you know that how people look at you and think of you and talk to you has very little to do with you and everything to do with them? Why did you say to me what bothered me so much? Well, you had a bad day, you got a stomach ache, you did this, you did that, you got fired, somebody said something mean to you. Whatever it is, you brought to the table all that stuff. Man is the sum of his learned experiences. And guess who just said that to you? The sum of his learned experiences. What's that got to do with you? I wasn't even there. I didn't even know the sum of your learned experiences. But we're married. You had a lot of experiences before we got married, and you're having lots of experiences after we got married, every time we go to work. So that's what just talked to you. What's it got to do with you? Nothing. Very little. But you combed your hair the way my brother used to, and you know he died. That's you. That's not me. Wow, I always wanted to get that across to you. That can liberate you. These are the kind of things that can liberate you. I mean, you care about what people think about you. They're not thinking about you. They're thinking about them. They're thinking about this that's sitting here on the planet, wearing your clothes and with your face and what came out of your mouth, which is nothing compared to what's going on, how it hit them. And they are quite complicated because they're the sum of their learned experiences. If they had had a slightly different, they just watched a movie and it was a dark comedy, and it was all about people dissing each other, right? That was a roast, okay? And you know what that is, right? Okay, and they just came off of that, and they loved it. It was so much fun, and they come in there, and you said something, right? And in truth, you weren't very happy. You said something a little bit mean, right? They loved it. Oh, my God, good one. Talk dirty to me, right or wrong. Versus if they had some other experience, it's not you that they're thinking about, it's them. Then why do you take it so seriously? How can you take it personally? How can you be so busy trying to impress everybody? How can you impress everybody? You can't possibly, because they are the sum of their learned experiences. What you think impresses them is what would impress you, because you're the sum of your learned experiences. Wow, wait till I wear this. It's going to look really sexy. And half the world goes, ugh. Or, oh, I've had my hair long. And I think, well, that's neat. I'm a hippie. All right. Well, 90% of the world hates hippies. All right. Whatever it is, it's like the only frame of reference you have is yours. Therefore, the way you dress, the way you make up, the way you do this, the way you talk, the way you carry yourself, every single thing, you're just projecting yourself out into the world. And you think that it's going to impress somebody. Well, what's the answer to all this? Because everything I'm talking about is the same, which is your God doing this. Your God having fallen, when you fell from the garden, where did you land? Into your mind, your emotions, your body, your eyes, and the world in front of you. That's where you fell. And that's a very big fall. That's a long ways down from everything to this little thing. Now, do you see the size of the fall? What's the answer? You don't devote your life to doing what your lost mind, who's the sum of its learned experiences, says you need to do. Because it's going to say, whatever bothered you before, it doesn't want to happen again. Right? Well, what if that thing didn't happen? Then your whole life's different. That's embarrassing. That's pretty small. How can you live so small? He says this is microscopic. It's beyond microscopic. Your mind is the sum of your learned experiences. And if you're going to devote yourself to that, you wasted your entire life. Because let me tell you a secret. Your experiences are rather random. I always tell that story. You're riding with your parents in a car when you're 6, 8, 10 years old with your sister. You're driving down the highway and you're playing I Spy. You know the game I Spy, kids play it, right? But you say, I spy an oak tree. And your sister looks out there, right? And Dava is going on. And all of a sudden your sister says, I spy a bird on a tree over there. You look out the window and it just so happened at that moment, a massive car accident is taking place on this expressway at 90 miles an hour. And there's blood and there's body parts and you're traumatized. You don't even talk for the rest of your life. It's totally lost. It's just totally screwed you up completely. In other words, if you didn't turn to the right at that second, you'd be a totally different person. Something's not very fair about that. There's something drastically wrong with that, isn't there? That's what happened to you. It just wasn't a car accident. Right? How can you take this divine consciousness and limit it to the sum of your experiences, which are nothing? Any given moment you're having an experience, even that one, but just take a regular experience. Are you missing any? How many things are happening on the planet that you're not experiencing every moment you're experiencing one thing? Is there a number big enough? And that's on the planet. And you say, I don't want to miss anything. You're missing everything. Is the moment you happen to be experiencing in front of you at that moment any more important than any other moment that's going on planet Earth or in the whole universe? Of course not. It's a moment in Einstein's time-space continuum. There's a moment going on everywhere in all of time and space. Why is yours more special? because it's happening to me. Now there's an ego. This is how you have to think if you want out. It's not about getting what you want. It's not about avoiding what you don't want. That is a meaningless life. I'm sorry. I hate to talk to you that way. It's not true that he who dies with the most toys wins. He who dies with the most toys leaves his toys behind for people to steal. Okay? It's meaningless. It's meaningful in the sense that, okay, you can feel better because you got what you wanted. How long does that last? When was the last time you got what you wanted and didn't want anything else? When was the last time something terrible happened to you and you never were afraid that it would happen again? Do you see what you've done? You've programmed your mind with things that you liked and things you didn't like. And now you're out there, instead of experiencing yourself and reality, or doing your job of experiencing the moments unfolding in front of you. You're supposed to be God's emissary, ambassador to experience here now. You're busy trying to manipulate and control everything so that it be what your mind said it wanted to be and not be what your mind doesn't want it to be. And getting upset and all this. And that's what all disharmony is all about. What's the alternative? The meaning of your life is self-realization. That is the meaning of your life. The meaning of your life is back to God. The meaning of your life is stop looking away from the greatest thing that created all of creation, your being. Then the question comes, how do you do that? I wish it was so easy. And don't you dare think drugs are going to help you. And I don't tell you what to do or not do, right? But no one ever got enlightened by doing a drug. You have an experience, which maybe inspires you. I'm not telling you what to do or not do. But believe me, you're coming back. Do you understand that, right? I don't want you to come back. I want you to come visit me when you didn't come back. I love the masters. That's why the pictures hang on the wall. They don't represent them. They represent you. You understand that? They represent the greatness of your being, who you are. And you're busy doing this. So how do you free yourself? The answer is really very simple, but not easy to do. Just like, how do I get off heroin? Stop doing it. Right? Isn't that how you get off heroin? Stop doing it. How do I stop smoking? Stop putting cigarettes in your mouth. The trouble is, sounds good. But there's this thing called withdrawal. Cigarettes, heroin, food, defensiveness. Stop being so defensive. How? Just stop. Stop getting angry all the time. How? Just stop. See? It's an addiction. And you're going to go through withdrawal. Are you not? Am I being fair? Come on, you've worked on yourself. So it's not about stopping the mind. The mind, I teach this, the book, Living Untethered, goes very deep into this, all right? The mind is talking for a reason. Everything happens for a reason. Deal with the root, the reason. Don't sit there and just mess with the leaves. They just grow back. Somebody tells you spirituality is about stopping your mind. It is not about stopping your mind. It is about working with the problems you stored underneath that are causing the mind to do what it's doing. And the mind will stop by itself as a natural way of being. So basically, you work with yourself to wean yourself of staring at yourself. How do you do that? What I have learned, and I've been through all kinds of paths, from going through meditating 6 hours a day, and every single thing you could possibly do until I caught on. And that's where I started this talk. Every moment of your life is a spiritual experience. What do you mean? It's hot out. Oh my God, it's hot, isn't it? Florida gets hot, doesn't it? Hello, do we really need to do that? I mean, okay, would you rather be in cold and freezing -0 degrees? No. Okay, can we handle 98 degrees? Probably. Not probably. Yes. Can you do it without complaining? Can you learn to? Can you learn to work with yourself to handle the moment that's unfolding in front of you? That's your spiritual growth. And that's why life is your teacher, because it will tell you, no, you can't. You can't handle the driver in front of you. You can't handle the temperature. You can't handle what somebody said. You can't handle what somebody didn't say. Okay? Start practicing how to handle these things. I'm telling you, that is your spiritual growth. Meditation is great. It helps you get a center so you can do this. But if you meditate and then come out here and start complaining about everything, you wasted your time. Meditate and go to a nice space. So you say, I can handle it. Fine. It did a good job. But if you can't handle the moments unfolding in front of you on this amazing planet, It's because you stored stuff inside of you that it's hitting. There are ways you can work with yourself to raise yourself every moment. Not just, people say to me, you don't teach meditation. I meditate. I don't teach meditation. I do not teach meditation. Why? I teach what you do when you're not meditating. And I tell you, it's way more important. If you can't handle life, you're nowheres. If you can't handle your husband or wife came home and had a bad day, and they come home in a bad mood, and they were marching through the house, and you wanted to have a nice evening, had all kinds of plans, and they go in the bedroom, close the door. If you can't handle that, you're not ready. You didn't use life properly. Well, how do you handle that? You let go of yourself. You realize, I had this expectation, and it didn't fit. It's not going to happen, right? That's my problem. He or she had their day, and they have their issues, and that's fine. I can handle it. And when they come out, I don't say, why'd you do that? Don't talk to me like that. Don't you ever do that again, right? I say, okay, you're doing better? Come on, let's have a nice evening. Why can't you do that? And so you practice. You practice letting go. I teach that, don't I? You practice letting go of what? Of yourself. Since you're busy staring at yourself. Why? Because if you don't, you can't get things the way you want, and there's not fun in there. Learn to handle things, and all of a sudden it's okay in there. And all of a sudden you don't have to stare at it. All of a sudden you have to control everything. And all of a sudden you start feeling Shakti. Why? Because I got Shakti pot? No, because you are Shakti. And you stop staring away from who you are because you were able to handle. I don't have to stare. How often do you think about white lines on the road when you're not driving past them? When's the time you had a nightmare about white lines on the road? You don't even think about them. They're fine. Trees and trees. 99.9% of every single thing you ever experienced went right through. It's that 0.1% that's a booger, right? And that's where your spiritual growth is, because it all should pass through. And that's what be here now means. You are here now by the trees you drive by when you drive by the road. You're here now when the whole people are walking by. You don't know any of them. You couldn't care less. You're here now. You don't get drawn down into it. You don't get drawn away from your seat of consciousness into the object. So what you do is you learn to handle the object. The more objects you can handle, the freer you are. And when you get freer, you don't get drawn out. And when you don't get drawn out, it pulls you back. And someday you will feel it pulling you back. Now you feel anger and need and things pulling you down. That will stop someday. And you will feel it pulling up, literally. It will pull like a vacuum cleaner. It's just pulling you up. You're not ready to let go. You may not be ready to go into the high states, the complete merger, but it just pulls you up and pulls you up. And then you notice that which you haven't let go of yet is holding you down. What's your spiritual growth? Let it go. Untether it. Let it go. You're holding on to it. Let it go. And you'll start learning how to ascend. And it pulls you up. So I started by saying to you that people separate their daily life from their spiritual life. That's ridiculous. Your daily life is your teacher. It's showing you where you're not so you can let that go. And then you'll be where you want to be. And I also told you that your natural state, it's not anything you have to strive to go to. Just let go of what's holding you down and you will go up. Period. Effortlessly. There's no second step. If it's not holding you down, it goes up. It's nice to know, isn't it? You have to figure out how to do it. I just how to do it. Stop holding yourself down. If you have a hot air balloon tied to the ground and it's hopping, it's trying to go up, do I put more hot air in it, more helium in it to get it up? Cut the tethers. But then how does it go up? Its natural state is up. So it goes up. Your natural state is enlightenment. You're a very great being. You're just staring in the wrong direction. Okay. Will you work on yourselves every moment? You promise me? Okay. Thank you. Jai Gurudev.
You've been listening to the Michael Singer Podcast, produced by Sounds True in partnership with Shanti Publications. For more information on Michael's body of work and all back episodes, please join us at michaelsingerpodcast.com. Thanks so much for listening. Sounds True, waking up the world.